He was simply thirsty and asked for a glass of water, but the bartender deliberately spat in it. "Did you just spit in that?" "What?" Pushing the glass aside, he demanded the bartender pour a drink in front of him. The man grudgingly complied, muttering racial slurs. "I'm not sure I want to serve a damn Injun like you." The Native American quietly left money on the counter and walked out, but a few thugs followed him. "Hey, where you going, boss? You got your bow and arrows with you? We're talking to you, Redskin."
Huh? Hold on.
But it was too late. Gunfire erupted. The bartender who had insulted him didn't live to regret it.
"I called the cops."
When he stepped outside again, the police had arrived. Calmly, he drew his gun and handled the situation swiftly and efficiently. He was the Gerhardt family's most trusted hitman, always able to take care of problems on his own. But now, the family faced an unprecedented threat. A gang from Kansas had set their sights on the Gerhardt empire, planning to take over their territory by force and wipe them out completely. The patriarch, Otto Gerhardt, was so enraged when he heard the news that he suffered a stroke. Now, Otto's 3 sons each wanted control of the family. The eldest, raised beside his father on the battlefield, had grown violent and ruthless. To interrogate someone, he once cut off a man's ear, letting him bleed to death without revealing a word. The second was calm, loyal, and well off, but weak in both diplomacy and combat. The youngest had no real standing, treated like an errand boy by his brothers, especially the eldest. For now, power rested in the hands of their aging mother. "A woman can't be the head of the family. Who says she can't? Are you crazy? That's our mother." The matriarch wanted to negotiate peace with the Kansas syndicate, but the eldest son demanded war. Meanwhile, the youngest son had been missing for 2 days. Fearing the rival gang had sent assassins, the eldest ordered the native hitman to find his brother as soon as possible. "You with me? My kid brother took mom's side. That's his mistake. When you find him, bring him to me first. Don't take him to the old lady." But they didn't know the youngest was already dead, torn to pieces. 2 days earlier, at a fast food diner, he had pulled a gun on a female judge. He hadn't planned to kill her, only to scare her into submission, but the judge was arrogant and unafraid. "Kid, you've got 3 seconds to walk out of here, otherwise I'll squash you like a bug." Even after being shot, the judge wasn't dead. She lunged at him. A terrified waitress stumbled out of the diner, and he chased after her. It was his first kill, and fear consumed him. Everything had happened too fast to stop. Then, out of nowhere, a UFO appeared in the sky, hovering above the crime scene before vanishing. Moments later, a car pulled up. The driver paused, then drove off, taking the victim with him. Ed, the butcher, had just finished his shift and come home. Peggy, his wife, casually prepared dinner. Over the meal, Ed talked about the future, buying the shop to be his own boss, raising a bunch of kids with Peggy, and living a happy life together. Suddenly there was a noise from the garage. Peggy deliberately knocked over a glass to mask the sound. "No, it's okay, I was just clumsy." Sensing something was wrong, Ed hurried to open the garage door. "I think I hit a deer." Another noise rang out. "What the hell was that? Did you bring the deer home?" Ed switched on his flashlight and made out a figure in the dim light. The youngest son lunged at Ed with a knife. In the chaos, Ed grabbed a garden spade and struck him dead. "I ran him over with my car." "Weren't you the one who said it was a deer?" Ed demanded why Peggy hadn't called the police. She stammered that she was too panicked and didn't know what to do. "I was careful. There was nobody on the road. I turned into an alley. But someone's dead now." Her self-justifications only made Ed more unsettled. Peggy seemed to ignore the gravity of what had happened, as if it didn't exist if no one had seen it. Ed wanted to call the police, but Peggy stopped him. If they did, the bright future they'd imagined would fall apart. "Okay, let's clean this up." The police began their investigation. From skid marks at the scene, Officer Lou concluded another car had been there at the time. They wondered why the killer hadn't taken his own car. Back home, Ed scrubbed away the blood with cleaner and burned the victim's clothes, but he didn't notice a scrap of metal that hadn't burned away. Peggy dreamed of proving her worth. While working at the salon, she subscribed to Success magazines, and the owner invited her to a success seminar next week. The hotel room was already booked. Elsewhere, Officer Lou's wife, waiting outside, accidentally found the youngest son's handgun. Late that night, Ed parked across from the butcher shop. Once he saw the owner leave and confirmed Peggy had finished at the salon, he drove over. He hauled something rigid from the trunk into the shop and then... The salon owner drove Peggy home, excused herself to use the restroom, and found the rolls of toilet paper Peggy had swiped. "Hey, do you know where the toilet paper went?" "What do you mean? I just bought several packs and now they're gone. Someone took them." "Oh my God, what happened to your car?" "It's fine, I just hit a tree." Peggy panicked and hurriedly told her guest to leave. Meanwhile, Sheriff Lou's car pulled up in front of the butcher shop. The knock on the door startled Ed, causing a severed finger to fall to the floor. "You heard what happened recently, the fast food joint. The killer still hasn't been caught." "Yeah, that's right. Lou had only stopped by to pick up some bacon for his wife's breakfast. No need, just take it." "Can't do that." A coin dropped and rolled beside the severed finger. Ed leaned forward quickly to block Lou's view. Suddenly, the phone rang. "Aren't you going to answer that?" "Yeah, it's just my wife. You're almost done." Seeing Lou leave, Ed finally let out a sigh of relief. Based on the handgun found at the scene, police confirmed the killer was the youngest Gerhardt's son. When the sheriff brought the wanted notice to the hair salon, Peggy grew tense. Lou's wife, who was getting her hair done, quickly sensed something was off. "You said the killer left his car behind. Maybe someone hit him on the road." "You mean you found tire marks and broken glass?" "That's right." "Hey Peggy, didn't you say—" "Sorry, I don't think that's relevant. I just mean, why didn't the driver call the police after hitting someone?" The sheriff agreed, but the question made Peggy even more nervous. She rushed to the butcher shop to tell her husband to come home. The car had to be dealt with immediately. Peggy's plan was for her husband to crash the car into a big tree, then call the insurance company for repairs, using the fake accident to cover up the real one. Meanwhile, the native hitman tracked down a businessman who used to associate with the youngest son. The two had once planned to get rich importing typewriters, but their capital had been frozen by the female judge. Pushed by the businessman, the youngest had gone to threaten her. Now the businessman had gone silent, angering the eldest son, who ordered him buried alive. "Drive to that god-forsaken town. Bring my brother back tonight. If the Kansas mob gets in your way, if the cops get in your way, kill anyone who stands in your way." Following orders, the native hitman went to the diner and found a shard of broken headlight glass. He traced it to a repair shop, where the piece fit perfectly with the damaged car. He even noticed blood on the seat. "Can I help you? Do you know whose car this is?" "Of course. He's a butcher." "I mean, which butcher shop?" Realizing he had said too much, the mechanic clammed up. "You're making me think you're up to something shady." Just then, a lawyer stepped out of the office. When he spotted the gun, the native quietly left. Sensing trouble, the lawyer told the mechanic to call the police right away. "Judging by the damage on that car, looks like a hit and run to me." After inspecting the car more thoroughly, Lou and the sheriff felt the crash into a tree story was forced. Noticing Ed's odd behavior when buying meat snapped Lou to attention. The native hitman was driving a patrol nearby when he spotted Ed and his wife. The matriarch had already begun negotiations with the Kansas gang. She offered $1 million and 20% of their turf, but the gang refused. Their message was blunt: surrender unconditionally or we'll kill every last one of you. That night the native slipped into Ed's house. He sniffed the floor, noticed the cleaning chemical, dug through the ashes and found the youngest son's metal dog tag that hadn't burned. Meanwhile, Lou waited on the porch to bring the couple in. When they returned, he cut to the chase. The crash story would fool no one. The person hit was a Gerhardt's son, a dangerous mobster. Lou warned them, "Confess now and I can help. Don't and you could end up dead without knowing why." Ed tried to tell the truth, but Peggy cut him off, scolding that he'd gone too far. They politely ushered Lou out. Ed stuck to the cover story. "I hit a tree." Peggy backed him up, protecting their fragile future. The Gerhardt hitman found proof the youngest had been killed at Ed's house. The matriarch couldn't accept her son was taken down by a nobody, a butcher. The eldest spun a story that Ed might actually be a hired killer for Kansas, painting the murder as an outside plot to take over, enraging their mother and calling for immediate revenge. While the Kansas gang were out hunting deer in the woods, the Gerhardts struck back immediately. The Kansas twin enforcers, tough and skilled, were handling Gerhardt foot soldiers when the native hitman slipped in. One twin was killed, the other wounded, and the hitman even beheaded the Kansas negotiator. The fury didn't subside. Next target, Ed. The eldest initially planned to send underlings, but his nephew Charlie, son of the second brother, volunteered to join the hit. Charlie boasted he could load and fire a gun with one hand, despite being born missing an arm. The eldest approved but sent Scarface along as backup. "If anything goes wrong, you handle it." "Got it." Charlie and Scarface arrived at the butcher shop. Charlie was nervous. Should he shoot the head or the heart? His handler barked, "Don't overthink it, aim and fire. If he moves, shoot again. Simple." Charlie staggered into the shop. Ed was still cutting meat at the counter. "Sorry, I didn't see you come in. I'm looking for the butcher. He's in the back cutting. I'll call him." The awkward encounter between the boy and the girl in the butcher shop eased the tension. Charlie hesitated, almost forgetting his mission. When Ed appeared, he said, "Sorry, we only have pork belly left. How can I help you?" Charlie mustered his courage, bought a kilo of meat, and left. Meanwhile, Peggy sold the wrecked car. She planned to use the money to make her husband's dream real, buy the shop and build a happy future. Charlie called a family muscle and told him to tell his father that he planned to straighten out his life. Killing wasn't for him, but since he'd come this far, he'd finish the job. This time he was more resolved. After locking the shop, Charlie slipped inside. At the crucial moment, the gun jammed. The earlier shot had sparked a fire in the shop. Scarface came in from behind to clean up. A ricochet knocked Charlie unconscious. Ed lunged forward and knocked Scarface's gun away. They grappled while the girl grabbed a slab of ham to help. The flames surged. Ed pulled Charlie out and dragged him clear of the burning shop. With police approaching, he had to flee the scene. On the way, Peggy blurted out, "I sold my car. I have enough now to buy the butcher shop." Then they realized the shop was gone. "The shop's completely burned. You killed someone, maybe two. The family of the person your car hit came for revenge. They're here." Ed panicked, preparing to flee with Peggy. The police arrived and Lou took Ed in for questioning. The sheriff stayed behind to protect Peggy from a Gerhardt reprisal. On learning the eldest had sent his son, the second brother flew into a rage and struck him. Under pressure from the eldest's men, he stopped. He said of Charlie, "The kid's only 17 and missing an arm. I see his determination and will." As the eldest prepared to punish his brother, the matriarch intervened. "Now is not the time for infighting." They split their forces. The second would take men to the police station to retrieve Charlie. The eldest would handle the butcher. At that moment, the outside hit crew's leader received a call from Simone, the eldest son's rebellious daughter, a drug-using betrayer. She'd been feeding intel to the enemy. Simone exposed her father's and uncle's whereabouts and even urged Mike to kill her own father. The eldest led men to Ed's house, only to be told, "The butcher isn't here. He was taken by the cops about an hour ago." Furious, the eldest snarled, "You think I'm stupid?" The sheriff moved to intervene but was suddenly struck from behind by the native hitman with the butt of a rifle. The eldest ordered the hitman taken to the station for inspection while he and two henchmen stayed behind to clean up the scene. They entered the basement where Peggy was hiding. 3 men facing 1 woman felt like an easy task until the eldest accidentally shot the wrong person. Peggy seized the chaos and rushed in to fight back. At that moment, a lawyer emerged from the station. With the police force stretched thin, a full-on gang assault would overwhelm them. The lawyer took a risk and claimed to represent the second son's child. The lawyer argued that Charlie was young and might only serve a short stretch. Causing a scene now would brand him for life as an accomplice. The second son found the reasoning persuasive and chose to withdraw to protect his boy. To protect Ed, Lou spirited him out through a window. Convinced by the lawyer's logic, the second son led his men away. They fled into the woods and found the sheriff, who had just come to. "Don't waste the effort. We all know where he'll go." Meanwhile, Mike got the tip and immediately led an assault on the Gerhardt stronghold. After a firefight, the Gerhardt patriarch was mortally wounded and died. The matriarch and Simone narrowly survived. The Gerhardts struck back at the Kansas compound. The Kansas boss happened to be absent and survived, but furious with Mike's failures, he planned to send a new executioner to replace him. The second son spotted Simone near the hotel where Mike stayed and grew suspicious. He took her into a car and drove her to a vacant lot for interrogation. Simone confessed to betraying the family and begged for one more chance, even if it meant exile. The family was torn apart. With a son in custody, the second son wept. Meanwhile, the new hit team moved on Mike's location, only for Mike to strike first and take care of them. Backtrack to the day before. Ed and Peggy had taken the eldest as a hostage to a small cabin in the woods, planning to use him as leverage in negotiations with the Gerhardts. If the family agreed to stop hunting them, they would release him. Ed called the Gerhardts from a corner grocery, but the person who answered wasn't decision-making. "Your boss is in my hands. Will you tell them? I'll call back soon." Peggy and the eldest clashed violently. "You call me a whore. I'll torture you once I'm free. I think we need to stay together a while longer." The argument escalated into threats before cooling. When Ed returned and saw the eldest's wounds, "Honey, did you stab the hostage?" "No." Ed warned that if she'd killed him, the Gerhardts would refuse to negotiate. At night Ed called again, but no one answered. Meanwhile, the native hitman slipped into Ed's house. He spotted a hotel reservation notice on the fridge. It turned out Peggy had planned to attend a seminar with her salon boss, and that hotel was where they were supposed to stay. Unable to make the trip, Peggy phoned the salon owner. Ed avoided using a phone in the cabin for fear the Gerhardts were tracking him, but the hitman had already traced the clue to the hotel. Peggy told the owner she was in trouble and couldn't go. The owner asked where she was. "I don't know exactly, somewhere northwest, near Vermilion, by that lake." Peggy promised to call back when things settled down. Peggy couldn't sleep that night. The eldest's stare kept her awake. She muttered to herself, Don't do that, thank you darling, damn it. The next day Ed waited by the payphone, read in the paper that the Gerhardts hadn't replied, and called the hotel where Mike was staying. Ed offered to hand the eldest over to Mike in exchange for safety. The Gerhardts are after me. I need you to stop them. I think we can make a deal. The meeting was set for 8 a.m. the next morning at a roadside motel. Peggy watched TV in the cabin, unaware the eldest had freed himself. Ed returned to find signs of a struggle. The eldest had Ed hanging, and Peggy lay unconscious. The eldest began to torment Ed and talked too much, not noticing Peggy had regained consciousness behind him with a knife. You see, no matter how good you are to her, that bastard won't stop unless you kill him.
Damn twats just won't stop till you put them down.
Peggy attacked, knocked the eldest out, then grabbed an axe to free her husband. The native hitman closed in. He walked into a convenience store and asked the owner if anyone had seen a big blonde man. Under intimidation, the owner suggested the man might be at the lakeside cabin. After the hitman left, the owner noticed the wanted poster in the paper. As the couple prepared to retie the eldest, the native hitman burst in. Peggy cried, "Thank God, get us out of here." They were ordered to sit. Strangely, the hitman didn't rush to free the eldest. He requested a haircut, shorter on the sides and back. That face would suit it. The hitman shot the eldest, maybe fed up with being the family's loyal dog, or provoked by the eldest's insults about his background. Peggy hesitated, scissors in hand, torn between cutting hair and making a move. Ed gestured for his wife to stay calm and not make a move. Strangely, the native hitman showed no hostility toward them. He even seemed open. "I'm just so tired of this life." Perhaps the corner store owner had called the police. Lou and his squad arrived. The hitman fired a warning shot out the window. Peggy lunged forward with scissors and stabbed him. The return fire of 6 rounds forced the hitman to retreat. The couple were immediately taken into custody by the police. The store owner tried to raise the alarm but was shot in the head when the hitman returned. The hitman cleaned his wound roughly with hydrogen peroxide and superglue in the restroom, then slipped away. Because the incident involved multiple lives and crossed state lines, law enforcement reinforced the response. Officers exchanged notes. They escaped the area 2 days ago. They don't look like those kinds of people. We know that. What do you know? That these two are in deep trouble. Ed explained he planned to hand the eldest over to the Kansas crew in exchange for safety. The meeting was set at a motel. The sheriff ordered a sting to catch the gang when they showed up, but Lou warned against underestimating the enemy. Lou was sidelined from the ambush. The old sheriff stayed to secure the area. The police moved Ed and Peggy to the motel a day early, unaware the hitman was already lying in wait. The hitman called his boss. "The black kid from Kansas has him. I'm watching the motel. They have numbers, but no chance. I'll be there in 3 hours." The Gerhardt matriarch decided to lead the team herself. Mike, Kansas's enforcer, was also en route. By evening the Gerhardts were closing in. Lou stood nearby and cried out, "Police at the motel. I'm Luke, them, they're coming." Because the deal was set for the following day, the motel officers let their guard down, sleeping, drinking, playing cards. Only the old sheriff kept watch. The second son ordered the hitman to stay and guard the matriarch while he led the assault. Chaos erupted. The old sheriff fired back. Peggy used the confusion to knock out the guard. The matriarch realized she'd been set up. Then the hitman revealed his teeth and slit her throat with a knife. Witnessing his mother struck down, the second son screamed in fury. He turned on Lou, who had shot him earlier. Even after taking 3 bullets, the second son raged on with ferocity. The native hitman joined the chaos, firing wildly, aiming to reach and kill Ed and Peggy. Lou was seconds from being strangled by the second son when suddenly, the UFO appeared again. Everyone froze, staring up at the blinding light. Lou seized the chance and fired a single shot, ending the fight. "Honey, we have to get out of here. Hey, you see that thing? It's just a UFO. Come on, let's go." The flying saucer began to fade, and the native hitman fired at it, chasing the light into the night. The motel fell silent. Mike and his men arrived to find nearly the entire Gerhardt clan wiped out. He smirked with satisfaction and left the scene. The couple tried to hijack a car to escape, but the hitman's bullet struck first. Ed was hit in the back. They stumbled into a convenience store, forced the clerk out, and hid inside the freezer. Ed was dying. "Honey, I don't think we can make it anymore. You always want to fix things, but sometimes there's nothing broken. Everything's fine as it is. I love you. I just wanted to go back to our old life." Ed, the man who dreamed of buying his butcher shop, having kids, and living peacefully, died in Peggy's arms. She panicked, hallucinating that the hitman was smoking them out, and grabbed a knife, ready to fight to the death. "Peggy, it's okay. It's over. It's me. Where's that bastard? It's me. I'll kill him, I swear." The hitman was long gone, yet Peggy still believed her husband was alive. Ed, come out. Ed, we're safe now. Ed, they're here. Ed, get up. Lou quietly helped Peggy into the car. The woman who'd caused so many deaths was now facing justice. The native hitman sought fake papers to flee to Libya. He was sick of everything and wanted a new life. At a playground, two boys were signing to each other. They were the mute assassin brothers from Fargo Season 1. Back then, still children, they were bullied until the hitman stepped in to protect them. With the Gerhardts wiped out, Mike proudly went to see the syndicate boss, expecting a reward. Instead, he was given a cramped office with an old typewriter. From now on, he was an accounting assistant. The world's changed, the boss said. The age of killing is over. If you can adapt, you'll succeed. Someone will bring you some forms, health insurance, pension. Just settle in and work. Mike stood still, staring around the dingy office with a bitter smirk. Meanwhile, Lou and the old sheriff returned home. It turned out the old man was Lou's father-in-law. Fargo Season 2 ended beneath a heavy snowfall. Lou's wife's dream was shown. She dreamed their daughter would grow up to be a police officer, and that little girl would become Molly from Fargo Season 1. Personally, I love this season's dark humor and absurd twists. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode.